versus 2 Masters Cup.
Are you leading?
I'm leading in right now, Stormless, because we are casting live with the guys against the ropes, the guys that need to make this happen. Because they're down on their luck, they're down on their chips, and they're in the casino of Gold Path 2, Scotch and Nagano. This is Isildur playing as the Brits. This is Von Asten playing as the Soviets, and the Behemoths in the north.
Behemoths in the north, of course, as the OKW. Going to be playing one of the best players in Company of Heroes franchise history is Nagano, and his teammate Fearsome. Fearsome, I don't want to say support player, equally amazing player in Gold Path 2. It's Scotch playing as the Austere.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, and cameras are on the GG house, everybody. Let's get excited. Let's get hyped. Who gets the house first? It's Isildur. This is dramatic. He then exits house. He goes to this van. What's going to happen next, Stormless?
Surprise demo charge.
Whoa! From the Brits. Excellent stuff. We've got... Who's coming over the... Who's that coming over the hill? Is it a Stern Pioneer? It's a Stern Pioneer indeed. Going past the searchlight, temporarily getting lit up.
Look at that line of sight that he used to try and get through there. You see him walking through that one part of the fence that isn't actually fence. It's the hedgerow, just to try and get that stealth cap of the building. Beautiful play from Nagano right from the start, and that just shows the level of detail he knows in this game. You have to be careful with him.
Oh yes, indeed. There we go. Got my headset on the right way around. And Stern Pioneer's down to one model already. There's that Soldaten's got a long path home, so he's going to be out of battle for a while. We're going to temporarily look over to the centre, which is a rarity in Rails and Metal early game casting, as we see Von Asten's combat engineer forced away.
Yeah, it's a nice engagement by the Pioneers to get close. They're now a little bit overextended. Looks like they're going to go for a decap, so annoying right from the start of the game. I love it from Scotch. And this is a beautiful thing, actually. I think so. Scotch is playing as deep into the lines as he can with the Pioneer. It's kind of distracting. It allows him to safely cap the left-hand side of the map. Nagano and Isildur just going at it on the right-hand side right from the beginning of the game. And they want allies to be kind of pent up on the right-hand side. I think that's the best place to play your opponents as allies on that south side. It's hard to play out of.
Do you know what's scary to be playing Nagano and Scotch in this moment? Not the fact that it's Nagano and Scotch or Axis on Rails and Metal, but no, they have the chance, as Stormless rightfully identified, to ace this tournament, to not lose a single game. So I believe that they now have their own fire, and it isn't the fire of fighting up against the ropes with your back against the wall like Isildur and Von Asten. It's the perfectionist in them, the guys that want to dominate the scene and stamp their authority. It's Isildur and Von Asten that have won the 1 versus 1 tournaments this year. Nagano's had to sit aside. He's not won a single thing yet. Him and his teammate Scotch now want to make a statement.
Absolutely. And the 2v2 scene is won by the best teams. I think we've seen this before, where it's not necessarily the amazing 1v1 players that come out on top when they group together. It is the team that plays the best. It's the team that communicates and supports each other the best. And Scotch and Nagano have been doing this for a long time.
Oh, Grenadier's low! Grenadier's low. Penal Battalion SVT rifles of ferocious at low to medium level. They may finish the job yet. Oh,
I
some of those...
I think the terrain is blocking some of the shots there because it's a hill.
But it's a hill with a wall on it, and a lot of those bullets hit the wall.
You know, I rarely say actually keep walking when you're firing at the retreating squads, because of course there's the accuracy debuff. But in that situation, it may have been better to continue.
May have been. Let's write him a letter of what he could have done differently. Oh, we've got a nice flank on the east. Foes Grenadiers versus UC and Tommy. So Isildur is sitting strong there. And again, Von Asten's been a bit of a monkey. We've got a rifle nade coming in though. Ah, it was one on retreat. And he may have been a double ball for, he may have just not moved. We'll never know.
Missed that one. Came out on top. Fantastic.
That sounds like your life, Stormless. That's fantastic. Taking a... Wins anyway. Fantastic stuff. There we go. And 2 Tommies forced away. You see reverses. This is a nice tactical blobbengruppen from Nagano.
Yeah, he's got to get on top of the building there. It's kind of like an essential point to hold if you're going to be defending that area. And it's nice actually to see that Isildur has won on the right-hand side as far as I'm concerned at the moment. Middle is just untouched. There's no early VP game going on here whatsoever. They're fighting just for the resources, just for the manpower drains at the start of the game. And no one's focusing on that ticker.
They're not right now. This is a lethality-based game. As I say, it's a ferocious contest. They all have their motivations. And not that they didn't already with $1,000 each up for grabs and $450 for the losers of this great series. But it just feels like this one's extra turbo spicy, to borrow a phrase from a caster that doesn't cast anymore. Magpies. Long shall he be remembered. 2016 to 2016.
I loved Magpie. Magpie was brilliant.
He was, yeah. We chose him so we didn't feel threatened, or our egos, if you remember. We were asked, can we think of a third caster for ESL? We said, Magpies instantly. Great stuff.
Magpie won a competition, I think, for the, if you remember.
Yes, inverted commas, a competition. I agree. Votes Grenadiers, Tommy's. Tommy's really low, by the way, but there is another Tommy squad on retreat, and negative cover's going to kick in Leicester's Forget. That's going to be fine, though. Let's check out the north. Penal times with a PTRS upgrade, so this 222's got its work cut out for him. But don't forget, there's no north-facing windows.
Of course, yeah, it's a nice point to attack from. Penal Battalion's got to be careful. The Penal Battalion is fine because he's got the satchel, so that building shouldn't be an issue, but he's going to hit the retreat anyway, I think just for the sake of not having any backup there whatsoever. So actually, it looks like Scotch maybe going to reclaim the north. I think that's essential for Axis to have that territory. And picked a very good moment for it.
The enemy is taking our
Penal
territory.
Battalion's rocking out, awaiting, but they don't have the PTRS variant. They're just going to get bullied a little bit by this 222. They do take advantage of the other point behind green cover, and there is a mine that they could try and tempt this 500 Svansig onto.
Hey, could I just tempt you to open the stats whilst the game is running for a second to have a look at the disparity of KD between Nagano and Isildur on the right-hand side? 27 for 5 kills to Isildur. Nagano is 5 kills to 26 losses. It's a huge early game manpower drain. And Isildur, if he keeps playing at this rate, is, you know, they're going to have this game easy. They're going to win the teching. And,
well, this is the same Isildur that won at the recent 1v1 Elite Showdown, winning $500 in his very first maiden attempt at winning a 1v1 tournament. Stormers. This does not surprise me, quite frankly, and it was his Brits that were supremely powerful.
I think I was saying earlier, Isildur, earlier in the year during King of the Hill, had the best Brits game I've ever seen anyone play in this game, and he was unstoppable. And I think actually it was against Nagano, and we're seeing the same performance. It's mechanical work.
He's a mechanical man, to quote the Command and Conquer soundtrack. Elsewhere in the south, we've got Grenadiers versus Combat Engineers launching themselves upon them. A third Grenadier tries to help out, maybe toss a rifle nade while the threat is presently there. There it is. Oh, it was on the Penal Battalion instead. Nice work by Scotch, but well dodged by Von Aston.
Bren there. Puma is charging down the center. Sorry, the Universal Carrier upgraded with the Vickers goes down. It's a nice surprise play by the Puma, who for some reason smokes to get out. Probably unnecessary.
420 plays it. Just wanted to celebrate.
Yeah.
It's legal in Canada, Stormers. That is not a problem. That is not a problem to say that on a Relic stream. But anyway, east side, we've got Royal Engineers pushing on. We've got the Vickers balancing their actions. That's Isildur showing his supremacy. Von Aston, by the way, Stormless, has chosen the NKVD rifle disruption tactics, and I know exactly why he's done this. And it is entirely, I've got my cursor on it, that's right, it's going to be the Scorched Earth policy. Everybody knows it. Great ability.
I love seeing things like this utilized in the game, because it's those little things that just happen when players are, you know, soft capping around the map, and they just get caught off by these passive abilities that is what makes this game amazing. And so hard to play. Oh, Scout down to the 270.
Nice work by Von Aston taking the Scout car out of it there. This game is frenetic, but look at the battle lines. Look at the TAC map. Lest often seen screen for a lot of players, unfortunately, but there it is. And no, the ability I was, thanks for playing along, by the way, Storms, but the ability was, of course, anti-tank Overwatch. I saw this in the semi-final yesterday. Von Asten just absolutely saving up to brutalise tanks with it. Make sure he's got engine damaged first, and then it's really good. It's not like it was when it first came out. It was utterly overpowered, but now if you get your cards in order, or your bottles in order, rather, you can bowl them down.
You know, the one thing that I am surprised about is his Sildor's commander selection of Royal Engineer Regiment. Because I get that you've got the anti-building flame mortar support in case maybe Battle Group has built on the north side, but that hasn't happened. The AVRE is slow. The chances of getting a mortar shell land here are low. Is it just for the armor and the flamethrowers? That seems like a weird commander pick just for that.
Certainly does. Here comes the assault of the Foes Grenadiers. Pyrotechnic Tom infantry section watches on. Ah, he's thrown the flare. There we go. Gonna turn around. Howitzer is gonna fire. There it is. Foes Grenadiers have vacated the premises, however. North side, what do we see happen? I can't believe how far Von Asten's getting in. The Commissar willing him into action, Stormless.
Supply sector under attack.
Yeah, it's good to see the Commissar on the front lines. And always lead by example.
Or shoots in the head, as by example, as the campaign taught me. Penal Battalion on retreat here. Grenadier under duress. We got negative cover. No, it doesn't matter anyway. They're dead.
That's a beautiful pickup. I think, you know, if he times the satchel charge, he could get this on the retreat. He's not going to attempt it. Would have been cool to see.
Oh, by the way, Tommy's under duress. Foes Grenadiers may pick up the kill here. They've got a clear retreat path, though. No negative cover. Nerfs on the way. Nice infiltration nades. Tommy's grouped. Pumas herald them in like a sheepdog, almost. 6 Pound has something to say about that.
Big hits from the AT gun. Good positioning, but no defense. Scotch drops from the game.
This was alluded to in chat. I did see that one. And,
well, and the Nagano's dropped too, so.
So let's have a look at what's happened. It's probably the dreaded tidal wave we were talking about earlier. It's now enveloped the entirety of France. There we go.
Yeah, that could be a genuine...
Could be a storm. There's a lot of storms
surrender
at the moment.
I was going to say surrender. Is it possible? I mean, they're very much on the back foot. Would they be saying, hey, you know, I've got 2 games in hand? It's possible.
Nah. Not like greatest of all time Axis team on Rails and Metal. Heavily doubt that. Probably a bug splat. We'll have to wait and find out and go to the referees, and there'll be a moment of elevator music.
Oh,
Dare I? Actually, I think the elevator music on YouTube is currently copyright, so you can't use it. So maybe we'll just have to sing it.
Stern Panthers actually said in chat that that's not a
really.
That was a rage quit.
What? Well, I've still got the casting overlay locked in, and so I haven't quit yet. So we can analyze this. Okay, no, I'll try and analyze it then, and you can remember it with your brain. Or look at the Twitch stream because I'll still have it up. But this is the situation as it stands. Let's try and get our heads in Scotch's mojo right now, which sounds awful, but we'll try and do it anyway. Okay, so yeah, they're heavily down. Von Asten and Silda are quite frankly playing out of their skins. They haven't lost a single victory point. Down to 3-5-6. So, you know, although you would, if you were their coach, you'd be a bit upset with them. Maybe Scotch and Nagano, Goalpath 2, are that fond of their famous allied pushes from the south of Rails and Metal. They're just like, you know what, roll on game 4. Let's see if we can finish the series off there, because Isildur and Von Asten have had too good of a start. It's very risky, Stormless.
I think one of the big things that just happened there, if you were to check, for instance, construction in the match stats, Scotch on the left-hand side, after that engagement, he loses a squad from Tier 1. He loses the MG. That was captured by, Von Asten.
Hang on, let me get this. Yeah, we got it up now. There we go.
Sure. And maybe literally 40 seconds before the end of that game, he had just escalated the battle phase 2. So we're 12 minutes in, he doesn't have Tier 2 on the field. Sorry, he has Tier 2 on the field. He doesn't have he just got Tier 3. You know, when the scout car was out, that's already gone. And it's, I think actually he just finds himself,
Well,
you know, he's lost too much. You lose the squad, you lose the MG. What have you got to fight against it?
Yeah, he'd lost his MG and he'd lost a Grenadier and he'd lost a Scout car. So that's he's built 8 units and he's lost 3 of them. I would say that's just a rage quit. I'm gonna be honest, that is a rage quit. It can happen. It's not pretty. Famously, it's happened in StarCraft. It's happened in a lot of 1v1 RTS big money tournaments. The pressure is welling. The stress levels are at a high, and who are we to criticize the great Frenchman who's won so many tournaments? And as I said earlier, the analogy that I was trying to say on Game 2 for Silver Vanessa before they took it to the wire, I saw Roger Federer, who's the greatest tennis player probably of all time, unless Novak keeps it up. He, in a second set at Wimbledon, Stormers just lost the first 2 games. Was like, okay, let's start doing skill shots and trying to put super spin on the ball and trying to hit a bloody second serve. He just runs up and tries to volley it. He was doing all this crazy stuff in set 2 because he just thought, I want to wait to set 3, and it went to all 5 games in the sets in the end. That's a tennis analogy. There are others you could use.
I think that, honestly speaking, if we are to perhaps build standards or set standards in the game, I would say that it never really should this happen, rage quitting, because
Really?
to me, like some people might say, hey, it's a strategy because we're tired and get on to the next game, attack it with a fresh foot. We've got 2 in hand, perhaps, but I actually think when it comes to tournaments like this, especially in the finals, you're not just playing for yourself and your money. You've got the whole everybody that's watching, the whole audience. You've got people who want to see how to come back from this, want to see how to try, and I think it's it's good to give it your all always. Personally, I would say, there's a level of sportsmanship as a top player to be committed, but that is just me putting it on the record about maybe how I personally feel about it. But the game can be very frustrating. Don't deny that.
He's winning. Their team is winning in this case. It's not like they've done it like OMG Pop did it in that semi-final of SNF Season 5. My knowledge of competitive company heroes is irrationally encyclopedic. It's like the smallest scene on the internet, but people have got to try and follow it as though it's a professional scene in order to create it as such. I believe it was Whitera. I'm hoping that's the case. Famous for his rage quits in SC2 tournaments. And of course, that is a scene we'd love to aspire to in our wildest dreams. But there's his Liquipedia thing, and he is known for his rage quits. Famously, there's been documentaries on them on YouTube, so documentaries inverted commas. But yeah, he's famous for them. And so even the greatest of fellow competitive scenes, that they are, it has been known. And in this case, I'm not going to say it was justified, but it's certainly a little bit more justifiable because they're already winning 2-0. That's all I'll say on that one. There you go.
Interesting.
Idra, thank you, Black City. My knowledge of StarCraft is not the highest. It was Idra. I watched that YouTube video about many years ago, so you can forgive me for thinking it. But just Google Idra and look at his rage quits, and he's famous for doing it. And people are like, what the hell has he just done? But another thing as well, Stormless, is Scotch's knowledge of 2v2 at an elite level is unsurpassable. He's competed in more finals than anybody else, except for Nagano, who's competed in equal amounts of finals because they're a team. So who are we to... Maybe he's seen something we've not seen. Maybe he's following the pace of this game in a way that we do not have the skill to follow. And that was the argument for Idra in that video I watched. They were like... he actually explained it in an interview, and the way he explained it rationalized it much more beautifully than we ever could hope to. Could have just raged.
I mean, I don't disagree with you on that. The issue that I have is that you're a team and you hit the surrender button together and both sides agree surrender. If you rage quit on your own, which we could see clearly happened, Nagano may not have known about that decision and he's had to pay a price for that. And that I think is unfair. So it's like you surrender as a team in a 2v2 tournament. If it's 1v1 and you rage quit because, hey, like you think I've lost already, fine. But yeah, maybe for that.
But Von Asten and Silva now get the game they wanted because they competed really hard as allies on Crossing in the Woods and they didn't quite get over the line. So now kind of get their win, I guess. Yeah, it's People's Ishtari's trying to argue it's conceding a round is a part of many competitive games. That was not conceding a round. That was indeed rage quitting. But I mean, Stern Panther's a big proponent of being able to say when a game is over. I do not disagree in this case, but I would say that difficult. You do see comebacks, man. Company Heroes is too comeback orientated in my mind. SC2, for example, is a mechanical. Everything technically is calculable in SC2 at any one time. It wasn't quite in Brood War, if I remember correctly, but SC2, I believe, is you can actually analyze it to the nth degree. With Company Heroes, there is the great unknown of random number generation and surprise mechanics and stuff that can help alleviate somebody in a losing position. So I kind of lean towards maybe play it out a little bit longer. So I would class that as a rage quit, I guess.
Yeah, it's you know what? Let the players tell us in time. As it is right now,
Oh,
then
yeah, let's go into game 4 now. It is ready. I don't think I need to restart, so we should be able to get straight in.
But do you know what? I'm pleased to see this. I'm really pleased to see Von Asten and Isildur 2 games down, still keeping up the psychological aspect of this tournament, which is that, they're on the back foot. They're losing 2 games. Like, it's hard. It's really hard. And so to bring out that performance right now is really promising. In fact, it really shows that perhaps Nagano and Scotch may be suffering in that department, which is unusual because they haven't dropped a single game this tournament. They've now just lost that accolade. And we'll see. We'll see. I'm interested.
Me too. It's loading in now. And we will, of course, show you the loading screen just as a special treat from Stormless and I. I'll alleviate some... you can see it all anyway. You know it's on Rails and Metal. You know these are the factions on display. None of these guys compete in GCS 2, so none of them have the faceplate, which is a sadness. But they do have OCF faceplate, which is an old major tournament that Nagano, of course, competed in. So that's very cool to see. And yeah, we are ready to lock and load. And I'm not going to hit the transition because sometimes you get stuck on the last bullet. I'm just going to wait for that to confirm. Last bullet, alert, Stormless. You've been caught out by this before as well, I think.
With what? Sorry.
The last bullet's always the longest on the loading screen, isn't it? So you think you can transition into the game, and then sometimes
it's not you. It's me.